Pol Pot's Cambodia, 1975 to 1979. On April 17, 1975, Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge seized control of Cambodia, declaring it Year Zero. Within hours, they emptied all cities, forcing millions into rural labor camps. The regime targeted anyone with education, those who wore glasses, spoke foreign languages, or practiced religion. Between 1975 and 1979, approximately 1.7 to 2 million people died, representing nearly 25% of Cambodia's population. Victims were executed at sites called the killing fields, starved on collective farms, or worked to death. The Khmer Rouge abolished money, private property, and religion. Families were separated, and everyone wore identical black clothing. The regime's extreme agrarian communism created one of history's most concentrated genocides until Vietnam invaded and ended their rule in January 1979. Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany, 1933 to 1945, Adolf Hitler became Chancellor of Germany on January 30, 1933, and immediately began persecuting political opponents and Jews. The Nazi regime established over 44,000 camps and incarceration sites across occupied Europe between 1933 and 1945. 6 extermination camps were built specifically for mass murder: Auschwitz-Birkenau, Treblinka, Belzec, Sobibor, Chelmno, and Majdanek. The Nazis systematically murdered 6 million Jews in what became known as the Holocaust. Gas chambers at Auschwitz could kill 2,000 people simultaneously. The regime also targeted Roma people, disabled individuals, homosexuals, and political dissidents. Medical experiments were conducted on prisoners without anesthesia. Approximately 17 million people died in the Holocaust and Nazi persecution. The camps were liberated by Allied forces in April and May 1945. Revealing unprecedented industrial-scale genocide. Joseph Stalin's Soviet Union, 1924 to 1953, Joseph Stalin consolidated power after Lenin's death in January 1924 and ruled the Soviet Union until his own death on March 5, 1953. During the Great Purge from 1936 to 1938, Stalin eliminated perceived enemies through show trials and mass executions. Approximately 750,000 people were executed during this period alone. The Gulag system of forced labor camps imprisoned between 18 and 20 million people throughout Stalin's rule. Prisoners endured freezing Siberian temperatures, starvation rations, and brutal working conditions. Between 1932 and 1933, Stalin engineered the Holodomor, a man-made famine in Ukraine that killed approximately 3.9 million people. Soviet authorities confiscated all grain and food, leaving entire villages to starve. Overall, historians estimate Stalin's regime killed between 6 and 9 million people through executions, forced labor, and deliberate famine. Mao Zedong's China, 1949 to 1976. Mao Zedong established the People's Republic of China on October 1, 1949, and ruled until his death on September 9, 1976. His great leap forward from 1958 to 1962 forced farmers to abandon agriculture for backyard steel production, causing the deadliest famine in human history. Between 36 and 45 million people starved to death between 1959 and 1961 as crops rotted and farming tools were melted down. During the Cultural Revolution from May 1966 to October 1976, Mao targeted intellectuals, teachers, and anyone suspected of Western sympathies. Red Guards, composed of young students, beat teachers and destroyed cultural artifacts. Educated individuals were sent to rural labor camps for re-education. Anyone wearing glasses or owning books became suspect. Overall, historians estimate Mao's policies killed between 45 and 75 million people, making his regime the deadliest in human history. Kim Il-sung's North Korea, 1948 to 1994. Kim Il-sung founded North Korea on September 9, 1948, and ruled until his death on July 8, 1994, establishing a cult of personality that continues through his descendants today. The regime created a vast network of political prison camps where entire families are imprisoned for 3 generations based on one member's perceived disloyalty. Approximately 120,000 people remain imprisoned in 6 main camps today. Prisoners face forced labor, torture, starvation, and public executions. During the famine from 1994 to 1998, between 600,000 and 1 million North Koreans died from starvation while the government prioritized military spending. The regime controls all information, restricts movement, and mandates worship of the Kim family. Defectors report systematic human rights abuses, including medical experiments on prisoners. The United Nations concluded in 2014 that crimes against humanity have been committed in North Korea on a scale without parallel. Saddam Hussein's Iraq, 1979 to 2003. Saddam Hussein became president of Iraq on July 16, 1979, and ruled until his capture in December 2003. During the Anfal campaign from February to September 1988, Iraqi forces systematically destroyed Kurdish villages, killing between 50,000 and 182,000 Kurdish civilians. On March 16, 1988, Saddam's forces attacked the Kurdish town of Halabja with chemical weapons, killing approximately 5,000 civilians in a single day. Women, children, and elderly people died within minutes as mustard gas and nerve agents filled the streets. After the Gulf War ended in February 1991, Saddam brutally suppressed Shia uprisings in southern Iraq during March 1991, massacring tens of thousands. His regime operated extensive torture centers where political prisoners were subjected to electric shocks, rape, and mutilation. Mass graves discovered after 2003 contained approximately 300,000 bodies, victims of systematic executions throughout Saddam's 24-year rule. Idi Amin's Uganda, 1971 to 1979. Idi Amin seized power in Uganda through a military coup on January 25, 1971, and ruled until April 1979. Within months, he began systematically murdering members of the Akoli and Lango ethnic groups who had supported the previous government. His State Research Bureau, a secret police organization, operated torture chambers throughout Uganda, where thousands were killed. In August 1972, Amin expelled approximately 60,000 Asians from Uganda, confiscating their property and businesses. His regime murdered political opponents, intellectuals, judges, lawyers, and religious leaders. Bodies were dumped in the Nile River or fed to crocodiles. Amin's military forces invaded Tanzania in October 1978, prompting a counter-invasion that ended his rule on April 11, 1979. Between 100,000 and 500,000 people died during Amin's 8-year reign of terror. He fled to Libya and eventually Saudi Arabia, where he died on August 16, 2003, without facing trial.